And after a 20-year run of people rising up out of poverty for the first time in 2 decades, the World Bank is now saying 150 million people could fall into what they classify as extreme poverty by the end of 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic and associated recessions. But it doesn't stop there. The forecast into 2030 also brings in grim numbers, with more and more being impacted by climate change poverty. So for more on this global outlook, let's bring in former UK MP George Galloway. George, the World Bank has stated that their mission is to eradicate global poverty, and they've just issued a very bleak outlook for the very fast approaching new year. They say 1 in 10 people in the world right now are living under $1.90 a day. What are your thoughts on this report?
Well, it's staggering, especially as if you could fill a coach, just one coach, a stage coach, or one of these iconic big buses that you have. You could fill a coach with the richest people in the world, and they'd have more money between them than 40% of the entire population of the world. So the real problem in the world is the maldistribution of wealth. In fact, in the very pandemic that the World Bank says is pushing an additional number of people into poverty, those billionaires, even trillionaires, have become very substantially richer through the very same pandemic. So the reality is we have a world that is ill-divided, where hard work is not the issue. The poorest people in the world work harder than you or I work, or anyone in the developed and rich countries in the world work. They have back-breaking work, walking miles for water, carrying it on their back, having to work with oxen in fields and so on. The poorest people work the hardest but are the least provided. And there was, as the World Bank says, some sign of progress towards alleviating that. Not rapid enough, but progress. And that's now gone into reverse, which shows that the coronavirus is not just a public health disaster, it's an economic disaster too. And as you will have seen in the report, it's not just in the poor countries that this phenomenon is going to occur. Even in rich countries like yours and mine, the number of people living on the official poverty line here is going to substantially increase.
Yes, that was something that was a new revelation found by the World Bank this time around on this report. But now, speaking of not exactly poor countries, China, with this, being a global pandemic, China's coming under pressure from finance ministers of the G20 to cancel the debts to countries that are hardest hit by this pandemic. As we know, China is the lender to many countries throughout